Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Chivera here, as always and as usual. And on today's episode, I'm here to answer all of the burning questions most of you have, especially if you're a core member that is planning to come to Enugu. So basically, this video is before you fill Enugu in as your state of service. Watch this video. This video gives you the detailed insights into what life in Enugu is like and what you could be expecting. Okay, but before we get right into it, I just want to show off my hair and let you know, or let me know what you think of it. So I like the hair, and just let me know what you think of it in the comment section. Okay, it's giving African crane vibes and all that. So yeah, so now moving away from the hair. So as a core member, the first thing you should consider before you move to Enugu or before you fill Enugu, I know you have questions as to the cost of living, what is the payment options like, what are the PPAs, do they retain people, what is the career prospect for you, is security high here, and all that. So first of all, one thing you should know is that as a core member, there are chances to be posted in the remote rural areas, and there's also a chance that you'll be posted in Enugu metro. So for the rural areas, cost of living is relatively low there. Housing, feeding, transport. The only thing that is general will be data, because data is not determined by the state, right? And social activities. But the good thing is that most communities or most towns in Enugu are not so far away from each other. So if you're, I don't know what is the farthest community in Enugu, probably Enugu Ezike, or places that are almost at the outskirts of Enugu. It will take you like about 2 hours or so, to come to Enugu, or less than 2 hours, right? So, but now let's focus on the state itself. Does Enugu state government pay their core members? Yes, they do. They pay their core members. Are there PPAs, respectable PPAs you can work in town, in the metro? Yes, there are a couple of them, from private-owned institutions to government establishments to some other corporate establishments. So it's either private or government establishments. So now, talking about accommodation, I think that is the first thing we need to consider in this video. How expensive or cheap is housing in Enugu? Enugu in the last few years have become quite expensive, when you compare with what it used to be. But when you compare Enugu to places like Lagos, Abuja, or even Port Harcourt, Enugu is currently ranking the same thing when it comes to housing as Port Harcourt. Lagos and Abuja still, surpasses it. So, but if you're as a core member and you're posted to Enugu Metro, I would recommend you move to places and you're on a budget. So this is not me saying that these are the places you must go to. Depending if you're working on a budget, I would recommend you go to places like Achara Layout, Ogui, Abwani Road, Ababa. Do not go to Thinkers Corner. Do not go to Centenary City. Do not go to GRA. Most likely do not go to Transekulu, because these are like highbrow areas, and do not go to Independence Layout. Although in the pockets of these places, you might be lucky to find something that is within your budget. But if you're working strictly on budget, the first places I recommended are the places you should start from to look for accommodation. But at least those places you can see houses for between 300 to 500k per annum, and something that is decent, not a slice of house. Okay, and then moving away from housing, another thing you would look at is markets. So what will your shopping experience be like? Because you're working on a budget, and I think that's what everybody who is coming into town the first time should be looking at. The open big markets are your option. So when it comes to food stuff and general stuff, I would recommend you go to Ogbete main market. That is the largest market in Enugu, and there are different departments or sections in that market that offer different things. So if you're looking for thrift, if you're looking for food, if you're looking for, there are just sections there. So when you get there, you find where suits your pocket, suits your taste, and suits your experience. But then when it comes to housing materials, like you want to get your curtains, you want to get a rug or tiles, paint, whatever it is that you use in your house, Kenyatta Market is the place you have to find that. Of course, when you come to town, you can ask around for Kenyatta Market. It does a lot of building materials, does a lot of household items, and there is also a foodstuff item. And if you live in Achara Layout or Maryland, it is also close to you. If you also live in Owani or Zik Avenue, it is close to you. But however, if you're just in Enugu Urban or Enugu State, you can always find your way to Kenyatta Market to get yourself with the things you need. Okay, I'm not sure you'll be needing timber. What are you doing there? You're not building a new house, right? You're just moving into a new apartment. So Kenyatta and Ogbete will solve that. But if you need to do like a very budget food shopping, area market, aka or popularly known as new market, because if you say area market in Enugu, a lot of people might not be familiar with what you're saying, but once you say new market, that is like the food basket market in Enugu. So if you want fresh palm oil that is right from Nsukka or Ebonyi or just from the source, the natural ones, new market is a place where you should go. So when you think of food, think of new market. When you think of housing materials, interior decor, think Kenyatta. When you think of clothing and other accessories, think of Ogbete. I hope this helps you in your decision. Okay, so now moving away from markets, the next thing we'll be considering is transportation. What is the mode of transportation in Enugu? The mode of transportation is the same as every other place. However, I must tell you, as of the time of making this video, keke napep or tricycles are not allowed past 9 p.m. in Enugu. So if you're a night person, if you're someone that wakes up by 5 and begins his or her life at 8 p.m., tricycles are not your friends at that time. And I think mini buses, they are all, I think mini buses as well, but so that sort of affects nightlife. What you have at night would be your boat. I must also warn you that in Enugu, the boat drivers inflate their prices. In a simple term, if your boat app is giving you 1,000 naira for your trip, your boat driver is going to tell you have to pay 1,500, 2,000. They're just going to add something on top. I don't know the reason, but it's a cultural whatever that happens in Enugu, so you should be aware of that. But moving away from that, we have the the city transport or the mass transit, that moves within intra-city mass transport, such as the buses, the very long buses, the mini buses, and the 18-seater buses. So they apply different routes depending on where you're living. You have the tricycle, that moves along, short distances. You have your boat. You have, that is it. Motorcycles or Okada are not allowed in Enugu Metro, but if you live in the rural areas, you could see that, say in Nsukka, MNA, Nike, some parts of Nike, you see Okada flying, but in Enugu Metro, you're not going to see any bike or motorcycle carrying passengers for commercial activities. That is not allowed. So if you're not mobile, Enugu is a place you can comfortably move around and, still save money on a budget. But if you want to do Uber, Bolt, it's still an option, right? And moving away from transportation, another thing you'll be wondering is job. But as a youth corper or as a core member, you already have a placement, right? But if you are thinking about life after service, Enugu is not really the ideal place to look at, and the reason is because a lot of corporations are not headquartered here, so that limits your opportunity. However, most of them have their branch office or regional offices right here, and it depends on your field of study or what you want to achieve for yourself. But I know a lot of core members that have come to Enugu for service and they decided to stay back because they fell in love with the city and they felt that there was something else they could do or the city could offer them. So it depends. It's generally a primary decision, a personal decision to make. Okay, you're moving away from that. So if you're moving to Enugu, another thing you might consider is apart from the regular or the traditional accommodation, are there hotels, are there short-let apartments, are there Airbnbs? The answer is yes. There are lots of hotels in Enugu. Yes, I don't think that the hotels are just too many for my liking, but I mean that's my personal opinion. Okay, so there are hotels here. You could find very expensive ones that go for as high as 250k per night to those of them that charge in dollars. They have the USD charged hotels. You have the very affordable ones, the 15 to 20k per night. You have your shortlets. There are different offers for different pockets and different budgets, so the choice is just to make. But there are places you can put up for once you've sought your accommodation. There are hotels, there are apartments, and all of those things. Still talking about the market, there are malls. Just in case you're not someone who is open to open markets, there are malls for you. So now moving away, let's talk about social life. What is the social life in Enugu? I mean, you're coming from wherever it is you're coming, you're wondering what will my life be. Enugu is a place that has an optimum amount or number of social activities. I mean, there are a group of young people who go on hikes every other weekend. There are a group of them who travel to places within Enugu and outside of the state. You have your bars, you have your clubs, you have your lounges, you have your parks and all of that. So yes, if you're looking to expand your social network, Enugu is a place that you could be to do that. And also, if you're looking to just to be a chilled solo person, Enugu offers that very well. So it's a city of whatever it is you want, you get. Okay. And now talking about church and religion, Enugu is a conservative or it's a conservative state. Lots of churches, the Pentecostal, the Methodists, the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Islam, that is the Muslims, everyone coexist here because it's a metropolitan city. So there is no sort of discrimination against any religion you're practicing, including the traditional religion, as long as you're not disturbing the next door neighbor. Just do your thing, go to your church, go to your crusade, go to your vigil, do everything you want to do, but do not cause nuisance. So you're welcome to practice any religion and anything. Did I miss out on anything? If you're looking for the best PPA to serve in, I've already dropped a video on that. Click on the description box and you find a video where I gave you a list of top rated PPAs in Enugu where you can go do your service. And then if you have any other questions about serving in Enugu, what should I look out for, what should I expect and all that, leave them in the comment section. I will take it up from there and give you insightful answers about that. And until next time, do have a lovely day and I wish you a happy and a successful service here in Enugu. See you next time. Bye bye.